Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Matt here, today doing another installment of my gear opinion video series. This time it is a shot timer from Shooters Global. Before we jump into this, I wanted to give a very quick update for my channel viewers and subscribers. I know I haven't been uploading much content recently. It's just because I've been extremely busy, so I haven't had much energy or time to do much video editing. However, we have still been shooting matches, of course, Dora and I, and we have filmed quite a few of them. So I do have match coverage that I want to do, probably in the way of stage debriefs. But again, I just have to find time to finally edit those videos. I have a couple, I think maybe 2 more of these gear opinion videos that I want to knock out, but I hope to get those done in the next week or 2. Basically, I just want to apologize for the lack of content. I've just been really busy. Going back onto this product here, again, from Shooters Global. This is one of their shot timers, the Timer 2. Shooters Global currently has 2 shot timers, and this is the, I guess you could say, more feature-packed, expensive version of their shot timer. And they actually sent this to me for review, which was honestly just really good timing, sort of lucky for myself, because when they reached out to me, which was, I want to say back in the fall, I was actually already playing with and sort of testing my buddy's Shooters Global Timer Go. And the Timer Go is the cheaper of the 2 shot timers that they offer. I was already looking for a new shot timer. The one I had, which is actually, it's right here. Let me just grab it off the wall. This super old Pocket Pro 2. Nothing wrong with this, but it's just super outdated, and it's actually died a few times with some moisture getting into it. I've revived it and it's just really struggling. So I was looking for a new shot timer. I was already playing with the Shooters Global product, the Timer Go, and if you follow the channel, you'll see that I had two match coverages where we were using the SG Pulse as well as the SG Timer Go for some on-screen data overlay. So that was actually really cool, and I was thinking of getting the Timer Go when they reached out and asked if I wanted to try the Timer 2. So obviously I said yes. As you guys know, I don't accept product from companies unless it's actually something I would pick up myself. So this was, again, just sort of really lucky timing, and honestly, overall, I've been quite impressed with this thing. I think that this shot timer has a ton of features that can really benefit shooters across all sorts of different disciplines, whether it be USPSA, IDPA, 3-gun, and of course what I do, like PRS, precision rifle stuff. So really cool. It has so many features on this thing. Honestly, a lot of the features I wasn't really testing heavily and I didn't really care about, just given the discipline I shoot. We don't care so much about individual split times. It doesn't really affect our score besides any time stages, which you only have to record the last shot. But it is great for training, and depending on what shooting discipline you shoot will obviously determine what features you appreciate more than others. But keep in mind, these opinion video series is not a comprehensive technical review. I'm just going to go over what I experienced using it. The shot timer did come with quite a few good accessories. It has like this semi-rigid case, which I like a lot. Lanyard, I don't use a lanyard, it just sits on there. The shot timer itself, obviously, but it also comes with this magnetic backer mount, which at first I thought this was going to be quite a gimmick, but I actually really like it because it's just a really easy way to attach or detach the timer from whatever you might have this clipped to. But if you don't like the magnetic plate thing, you can take the belt clip off and mount it directly onto the shot timer as well. So it gives you some options, which I thought was well thought out. And what I also really appreciate is this thing uses USB-C for charging, which just, you know, generic cable you can find anywhere. And I mentioned that because the SG Pulse that I was playing around with had like some weird proprietary magnetic charger, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but USB-C, good to go. Also, this thing has wireless charging, which I didn't realize. I was coming home from a match and I threw this down in the middle console of my buddy's truck that has wireless charging, and it started to pick up a charge, which threw me for a loop because I didn't realize this thing has wireless charging. All in all, this thing has worked really well. I do appreciate the fact that it is weatherproof. A lot of the testing for this timer for me was in over the winter months when we shot a lot in like mucky, wet snow as well as some rain, and it has been completely fine. As I mentioned before, my old shot timer died because of moisture, but this one, I don't have to worry about it, and it's just always ready to go no matter what the condition is outside. Also, the battery life on this thing is phenomenal. I didn't charge this thing, I think, for like 2 months straight, and I still couldn't drain the battery with some pretty regular use. So whatever battery they have inside this thing is quite impressive, and this is also using it in the cold winter months. And when you're shooting in sub-zero temperatures trying to use electronics, it's really hard on batteries, but this thing just seemed to never skip a beat. So honestly, very impressive overall. So again, I don't want to get too into the weeds of all the different features because you can look at the manual for a lot of things. But one of my favorite things about this shot timer is the fact that you can set up different profiles on it very easily. You can do it right on the shot timer itself, but it's a lot easier and more intuitive to do it on the app. So Shooters Global has a Jills app where all their devices connect to. It's also the app you would film through to have the cool data overlay from your pulse and shot timer. But again, through that app, you can create profiles, which I find very helpful. So if I go into the menu here, you can see these are all the most common, I guess, settings that I would use. They're all for precision rifle discipline, but CF stands for centerfire, RF stands for rimfire. And the difference between those, as you can see, I first label it with the par time. So most of the matches I shoot is 105-second par time, so that's what the 105 is. Occasionally, if I'm shooting NRL 22, we'll be using 120-second par time, and then 90-second par time is for some of the IPRF matches that are, again, 1.5 minutes instead of 1 minute 45 seconds. And the difference between these, if I just go to, so for example, this is my 105-second centerfire PRS profile. If I apply it, you can see sort of the settings here. So the sensitivity is set at 35%, and the speaker volume, so the actual beep, when you start and stop this timer, is at 5%. And that's really more or less what I played with, was just the sensitivity of the shot timer. For centerfire, obviously you need much less of a sensitivity. Let's see, if I go to my rimfire setting, you can see my sensitivity now is at 90% because rimfire is a lot more quiet than centerfire, and the speaker volume is still at 5%. One thing I will say about the speaker volume is this thing, 5% might seem low, but it is extremely loud. Anything above 20% I would consider obnoxious. And when you get this thing, I think it's set at 100%. If you hit the start timer in a confined space and you don't have ear pro on, it is obnoxiously loud. It was actually so loud that even at a centerfire match with ear pro on, if you start this timer, the stage next to you, the squad next to you, might think it's their timer going off, and it can actually cause some confusion because it's so loud. Even at 5%, you can still hear completely fine if it's your timer on your squad with hearing protection at a centerfire match. So I just leave it to 5%. And let's see, my dry fire volume is at 2% because, again, I'm using it indoors for dry fire. And you can see I have 100% sensitivity so that it can actually detect the dry fire sound of my firing pin falling. And it actually works quite well. Really impressed with this overall. You can also see here, because you have all these different presets, that it's so easy to switch between. If you're going to a weekend event, a lot of the clubs near me will do centerfire on one day, and then the next day we'll have their rimfire event. Instead of having to change the sensitivity and stuff, I can just select the centerfire for Saturday, and then on Sunday I can just drop down to the rimfire setting, and it works really well. So on the screen, it will display some good information while you're actually on the clock. So if I go to the rimfire profile here, so as you would expect, you would be able to set all the common features of the shot timer, like the delay if it's instantaneous, or a random start between a specified amount of time. If we just hit start here, again, for my 105-second rimfire PRS, it'll be an instant start. You'll hear the beep. Again, it's quite loud already at 5%. And what I really like about this is it actually has a ongoing counter that counts up. So if someone asks you for time, or you're just curious as the RO how much time has elapsed, it's an ongoing thing here. You don't have to wait for them to take a shot to actually see the time. You can just always see a live feed of the time in this corner here, which I found kind of helpful, just kind of nice as a spectator. I couldn't find a way to make this thing count down, which I think would be cool for PR specifically. If, you know, it showed the shots counting up for your split times, but had a counter counting down for time remaining, I think would have been kind of cool, but I personally could not find a setting for that. Lastly, I just want to mention, because I do help run some matches sometimes, that this shot timer is great for match directors, because if you're afraid that this shot timer might have too much functionality or people might hit buttons by accident, you can go and change from your personal mode with all your different settings and profiles to RO mode, which gives you basically a simplified version of the user interface, so you don't have as many buttons to worry about and whatnot, which is kind of cool. This thing also has a automatic backlight, so you can see this light sensor here. If I cover it, might be hard to see, but the backlight turns on. So in low light settings, maybe you're indoors for dry fire, you can always see your screen and it's automatic. So just really well thought out. The app for the connectivity and data overlay works really well. I had kind of mixed feelings with the data overlay coming from the SG Pulse, but for the timer, it worked perfectly for the split times. It seems like it gives very accurate readings from the split time to the data overlay on screen for your match footage. So the Drills app seems to be quite refined. It's well done, it works well, and it's a really easy way to connect to your shot timer if you want to change the settings or set up profiles and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I have just a few more of these gear opinion videos I want to get out before we start getting back into match footage. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.